Welcome to Dub Nation, the official show of the Utah Warriors of Major League Rugby. I am Jarom Jordan. He is Banksy. Here's what's on the show today. New York is out. Why it's going to be okay, we'll discuss. Is the MLR going to Mexico in 2025? There's an article out there. 3 new signings. We'll tell you about them. Plus, Banksy's conversation with new scrum half Logan Crowley is all on the show today. Let's address the topic du jour. Rugby New York joins Toronto. Banksy is the second team to fold in the last couple of weeks, headed into what we thought we were getting a schedule close to with the 2024 season. Nope, got to figure that out still. The club's demise reportedly due to ownership and financial troubles, according to America's Rugby News. 11 teams now in 2024 MLR. Utah Warriors CEO Kimball Kjar showed the following after the news. I'll read some of this. Warriors Nation. My professional background is and always has been in startup companies. While they are exciting, they're also hard. Major League Rugby's recent news regarding New York dissolving, and in context of Toronto's unfortunate and saddening situation with Bill Webb's passing, I can't underscore enough that this is one of those, quote, hard moments that all startups face. Despite the two teams' reasons for withdrawal from the MLR being wholly separate and unique, we acknowledge that this puts a lot of lives in some very tough spots. We hope to support any and all players and staffs from Toronto and New York where and however we can. We also know that these teams built and were part of 2 amazing rugby communities. We feel for you at this time. Skipping down to the bottom. Although today is a hard day for everyone within the New York organization, as well as in Toronto, we owe it to the players and many who have carried the standards for both these teams for these many years to remain focused on MLR's path ahead. The MLR has seen so much growth and success since our inception in 2018. And we, as one of the league's founding members, look forward to continuing to build on this growth and success for many years to come. Go Warriors, go MLR. Banksy, what do you make of this news? Toronto and now New York out.
I think the news of Toronto not being able to proceed this year was understandable given Bill Webb's passing and the situation with the family there and the struggles that they've been through. I don't think that team ever really fully recovered after spending all of 2020 in hibernation, as we all did, right? And then playing on the road through the next basically season and a half, not being able to have any kind of home games or any of that available monetary compensation for the product that they were creating. I think the league owes a huge thank you to Toronto, and it's great to hear from men like Kimball who continue to support not only the Webb family in their decision, but these players who are looking now for homes and a place to continue their development and the pathway of rugby in North America. So I think the teams that remain are committed to rallying around these players, and not just these players, but these cities and communities that have embedded fan bases now in them, to maybe return here in the near future to establish something to say thank you for what they put in, because we know as a very passionate and emboldened fan base what it's like to have a team here and how much we appreciate what that brings into our lives. And I don't think it's any different for a team like New York, who just recently raised the shield, all the different things that they've been able to do, and as well for Toronto, who has always been a quality organization.
Absolutely. It's a bummer to lose teams, but we've seen teams come and go, and we've seen the league continue onwards. So it's not like it's not like the league's close to folding. I think maybe for a day or two, it felt like there was a lot of panic among, MLR fans, but it's like, it's going to be all right. You're adding Miami. We'll talk about maybe you're adding a team in Monterrey, Mexico, like who knows. The sustainability is the objective. The growth of the game is the objective. There will be pitfalls here and there. And Kimball Kjar is exactly right. You think about all the former NBA cities and teams that exist that you maybe can't name because it's been a while and they moved on and they're thriving, right? You look 50 years down the road, we're not going to be like, they almost didn't make it with the fall of X, Y, and Z. Who knows, right? It's rugby. It's unique, but it is growing and it is sustainable. And
if you look at all the key sporting cities that MLR has strategically placed themselves in, and if you look at the size of the cities, New York being the largest city in the country. Okay, so we had a team there. There will be a team as this league continues to grow, return to New York City. Los Angeles has a team returning to it. That's city number 2. Chicago has a team in it. Houston, the 4th largest city, has a team in it. The 5th largest city, Dallas, we have a team there. We can continue to go on and on down the list. So it's not a matter of panic over the growth of the sport. The sport continues to grow. The exposure continues to grow. The player pool continues to grow. These are growing pains of the business of the sport. And what we're seeing is very typical of the growth of any major sport. We're just so spoiled in America that we have all the major sports established here that we expect to rise to that level very quickly. And this is something that for those teams that are in it for the long haul, that have spoken up, a la our very own Kimball Kjar, the commitment is there, not just for 5 years, but for 15, 25, 35, 55 years to help grow their sport and create something sustainable for rugby fans all over the North American continent.
Is it a bummer to lose Toronto and New York? Yes. Is it a bummer that Glendale and LA and Austin bounced as well? Well, from a market standpoint, sure. But sometimes you need to get everybody on the same page. And when they're not, things happen. And, it's at the end of the day, you got to make money at some point. And so it's going to be okay. At first, I was like, whoa, what's going on? But as I saw, and talked to different people, obviously within the organization here with the Warriors and whatnot, and read various things, it's like, oh, we, MLR, are going to be okay. And so logistically, the challenge now is it's December, dude. Like, players are living in cities that they thought they'd be in for the next year. So competition update is the following. Today, December 13th, Toronto and New York, those players can opt into the draft. Now, there was some question about Dylan Fawcett. Dylan Fawcett wasn't signed with anybody. That's why he could just straight up sign with Chicago. So that wasn't like, some people were like, whoa, can you just be a free agent? Honestly, it's probably better to be a free agent because you can negotiate with anyone, then be picked. So if you don't opt into the draft, I don't know. It's a little confusing. Teams draft players based on the reverse order of the standings. They can trade picks. They can negotiate with the team that drafts them. Undrafted athletes may sign with any team. It's better to be undrafted than the thing. Athletes who opt into the draft are exempt from the salary cap. That's the benefit for the teams. So then teams will announce signings once confirmed. So we'll see who the Warriors get, if any, out of the draft / free agent signings. But there's some talented players, obviously, from Toronto and New York that are interesting. Nick Chavetta, who is part of the kind of players union, right, and a seasoned USA vet. If you opt out of the draft, he tweeted, you aren't eligible to play for any team until the midpoint of the MLR season. Your remuneration would not be cap exempt. So that is why you want. So that answers my question. You would want to be in the draft because then you can play at the beginning of the year.
You can play at the beginning of the year, and your salary doesn't count against the total salary cap. So you can negotiate what could be, depending on your value, an incredible salary for you and your family to be able to move to a new city. So there are tons of upsides to opting into this draft and tons of upsides for the teams. Think about what this does for the new clubs in Miami and LA who are still developing, or teams like Dallas and Chicago who are only a couple of seasons into their existence and have the ability now to level up their competition in a pretty significant way, especially if you're a city like Chicago, which is almost a midway point between New York and Toronto. That's an easy shift for a lot of these families geographically. They're still close to their support networks and a club in a city that is growing by leaps and bounds. I think this is a brilliant move by the league to be able to support these players and by the existing clubs to be able to bring players and talent in, first to help the clubs, but then, of course, to help keep these families in a place where they can commit to the game of rugby and to the growth of the league.
Hey, easy for us to say. Our best of luck to all these families, right, that are affected by this. And it's tough because this isn't like in August. This is December. So logistically, there's that. There's also the schedule. We've seen mock-ups of the schedule, and they just get blown out of the water. Like, whatever they had planned, you got to change it because you thought you had 13, and then you go to 12. Now you're down to 11. We don't anticipate any other teams going away, but 11 is kind of odd and different. It's not the number we're thinking. Whatever. You figure it out, and then, we've got the new competition rules and whatnot. The whole league's playing against each other within the divisions and so on and so forth. So there's some logistics to be figured out here. And, we're playing here in March. So we're not too far away from players, celebrating Christmas, then getting into camp with teams. So this got to happen pretty quickly.
And if you want to put something under the tree, maybe for your favorite fan, Boy, do we have something special for you. The team store is open now with the best looking kit in all of Major League Rugby. And dare I say, some of the best looking models to ever rock the four stripes. Look at those boys. Go to shop.warriorsrugby.com now. Get your Utah Warriors gear for every fan on your Christmas list and beyond. Shop.warriorsrugby.com.
Okay, a bit of news. Is the MLR going to Mexico? Cuatro Casas, a legal services company in Mexico, says Rugby Ventures Mexico signed a contract with the state of Nuevo León to have a pro rugby team and is expected to have an MLR team starting in 2025, I would assume in Monterrey. What do you think of the potential of a team in Mexico on, the Texas border-ish?
I think that's a great thing for the growth of rugby overall in North America. Mexico has had teams who have played along the 7 circuit. It is very much a growing sport there in Mexico and all throughout Central and South America, as much as it is here in North America. So I think an expansion team in Mexico is great for competition in MLR, and it expands the sport to an entirely new fan base who are typically soccer crazy. But when you introduce them, as we know, to the sport that we love in rugby, people catch fire so quickly. And I think a team in Mexico would be a great addition.
It'd be interesting, man, for all the points you just mentioned. And then personally, listen, you go 5 generations back. If I'm one and, back to 5, I'm the only one in my family that hasn't lived in Mexico among those generations. Like my mom grew up there. I would be a fan. They were in Chihuahua in the Mormon colonies, right? But that would be awesome. And you had to have your passport for Toronto. If this happens, you can use it down south. A little better weather, especially in February and March when you might start playing. So, hey, I'd be cool with it. There's a point of diminishing returns. Like if you're going, if you're Rugby Americas or whatever, super, you can go too far if you're going down to Brazil or whatever. I don't know. I would like to think that it's like in the U.S. and kind of near the border if you're beyond that. But just from a logistical standpoint. But that could be interesting. That could be really interesting, and it'd bring a flavor in many ways to MLR that does not exist right now.
I think it would be so exciting to have, and I would love to see that continue to develop, as well as many other cities that the rumors continue to swirl year after year, where the foundation is being laid for those teams to grow into. There's so many great towns that have histories of rugby in them. Think of places like in Ohio and Pennsylvania. Think of places like in Missouri with Kansas City and St. Louis. More places in the South, in places like Savannah, Georgia, that have a great history of rugby. There's all these rumors that always swirl around. And I think Mexico may be as exciting a rumor as there is. So I'm excited to see how that continues to develop.
That's a good point. Like think of, MLS in the first little while. They had so many cities, And then later, here 20, 30 years later, it's like they're everywhere. They're in every major market. They're in a lot of the mid-major markets. It'll be interesting to see the growth of this league. And if we're looking back in 20, 30 years and going, hey, man, Utah was one of the OG, 7. And here we are 30 years later or whatever. So, yeah, that'll be super interesting.
What we'd love to see, too, is 30 years later looking back and seeing your junior Warrior playing in that league. If you want to get your kids exposed to the incredible sport of rugby, check out the Junior Warriors Clinic. There is a free clinic coming up Monday, December 18th. Different dates and times are available. You can register today at slcsportscomplex.activityreg.com. So hit the website there. It's all on the screen. Screenshot it if you need to. Pause the video if you need to. And get your kids out running and active, engaging and learning with Warriors players, coaching staff, administrators, and throwing the ball around and learning the basics of the great game of rugby with the Junior Warriors Rugby program.
Okay, 3 new signings for the squad. Let's talk about some young guys coming to the Utah Warriors. Zach Barker, 25-year-old prop from Harriman, 6'2", 240, part of the selects in 2021. He played in the Crossroads Cup the last 2 years. Utah Warriors signed Zach Barker.
Great signing and a young prop who will continue to develop physically as well as his skill set. When you look at the props he has to learn behind, a masterclass in playing in the front row, and a guy that already has an incredible foundation in playing in Harriman with that program. So a great addition and a young player, an exciting player there.
Do you think when he scores a try or makes a big tackle, he yells, "The price is wrong"? Do you think that would happen at all? No? Okay. Sam Reimer, scrum half, 21 years old, 5'9", 185 from Ontario, Canada. He played in New Zealand. He's played for the Canada U20s. He actually played for the Toronto Arrows last year. 5 matches, played 118 minutes.
There's another exciting playmaker, and I think this signing is a great weather vane for rugby in North America. This is a kid that has played now all over the world, played some incredible minutes, and continues to learn and elevate his game. So a great weapon for the Utah Warriors and their arsenal with Sam Reimer.
And then this one announced yesterday, specifically Noah Bain, a 26-year-old winger from British Columbia, Canada, 6'2", 207. Utah Warriors excited about Noah.
And this is a guy that's played a lot of sevens rugby, having played with experts and very familiar with a lot of our own Utah Warriors players who have played on that Pro Sevens circuit. So a guy that's played all over the world on that circuit, all over the country, and brings a lot of speed and flair on the outside.
Hey, if you play wing for the Warriors, you better, man. That's how we roll here. So Noah Bain brings, which is exciting. Can't wait to see these three new signees in camp in January and see what they do with the Warriors this year. Okay, another signee recently is Logan Crowley, a scrum half from New Zealand, and Banksy spoke to Logan earlier today.
All the way down from Aotearoa, the land of the long white cloud, Taranaki region boy, Logan Crowley, a new Dub Nation family member. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Jared. Good. Thanks for having me on.
So, first off, congratulations on signing with the Warriors, and what are you most looking forward to about coming to play in MLR here in the USA?
Yeah, it's a pretty exciting opportunity. Don't know too much about Utah, so I'm looking forward to getting over there and experience the locals and what they have to offer. Heard great things so far. But yeah, the competition itself sounds pretty exciting. I know a few Kiwi boys that have gone over and done pretty well in it, like the likes of Jason Potros, who speaks of it in high regard. So yeah, looking forward to the season ahead.
Now, you've just come off playing a season with Taranaki, some incredible players that you've played with, including all 3 Barrett brothers, right?
Yeah. No, that's a pretty famous family when it comes to rugby. So yeah, I actually grew up just down the road from them on a little farm down the coast here in Taranaki. So yeah, but a lot of good players come through Taranaki, and it's quite cool to play alongside them and against them. So yeah.
Well, let's not short your family's rugby history as well, right?
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Yeah, well, Taranaki, it's the Crowley name. It's got a bit of a history with rugby in the region. Got uncles, I think 4 uncles played for the region. One went on to play for the All Blacks, and Kieran. The old man, Alan, he played 5 years for New Zealand Sevens. So, yeah, there's a bit of a rugby background when it comes to the Crowley name in the Taranaki region. So, yeah.
Well, and really, there's not much else to do in the Taranaki region except, raise livestock and throw the ball around, right?
Yeah, you could say that. Nah, there's plenty of stuff to do here. It's just grown deep in our I guess a bit of Taranaki history. The union's been around since 1886, I think. So yeah, got a deep history with the sport. But Taranaki, beautiful place, beautiful mountain, beautiful surf if you're into that. I don't think there'll be much surfing going over in Utah in the hills there, but yeah, it's good spot.
But you'll be well at home in the mountains here. Obviously, Mount Taranaki, a beautiful and well-known picturesque mountain there in New Zealand. Just get people kind of acclimated to where it is in New Zealand, because people, I think, pretty typically know where Auckland is and where Wellington is, and Taranaki kind of sits right in the middle. Tell us about home a little bit and where you're coming from.
Right. So, yeah, like you say, some people you speak to from over the world don't even know we're New Zealanders. So, yeah. New Zealand, it's pretty much Taranaki. New Zealand's 2 islands, 2 big islands. Taranaki's in the North Island on the west coast. There's a little bump that sticks out if you're looking at it on the map. It's right on the west coast. There's a big volcano smack bang in the centre of it. Luckily, it's dormant. And, yeah, it's pretty much where Taranaki is. Currently in the town, the main town there is New Plymouth, so that's where I'm based at the moment. But grew up on a dairy farm, probably a 45-minute drive from town. So, yeah, that's where I'm from.
So how does the conversation go, being in Taranaki, and then the phone rings and it's just head coach Greg Cooper and said, Kia ora boy, you want to come play ball?
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock, really. I was was actually injured at the time when I got the phone call. So I was just going about my rehab, and my agent got in contact, said, you might get a call from this coach either the next day or tomorrow or the day after. And he rang me about an hour after the phone call I got with my agent. So it's pretty quick on the beat there. Caught me a bit off guard, but yeah, pretty much went like that. And went from there.
So what are you most looking forward to playing in MLR? Because it is a different change of scene, but the game is still the game. The culture is still what it is. But coming over here to America has got to be appealing for a lot of overseas players now, right?
Yeah, you did, right? The games will always be the game. There's obviously different styles you can play it. I'm quite excited to look forward to how the Utah style will be. We've had a few Zoom calls, and it sounds like it's going to be an exciting brand to play. So when it's an exciting brand to play, it's always exciting, entertaining game to watch. So looking forward to that. Utah itself, never been to America. So yeah, I had to look. To be honest, I had to look on the map to see where Utah exactly was in America. It's a big place. But no, it should be an awesome experience. And like I said, a few other guys that have been in the MLR have talked highly of it, and the opportunity to play in different cities and states around North America sounds pretty appealing. So I'm just looking forward to getting over there and ripping in.
Have you had a chance to connect with any of the other boys on the team? I know you've been on some Zoom calls and had some kind of introductions. Who have you been able to kind of connect with so far?
Yeah, so far it's I haven't really dived into too many individuals. There's a few boys coming out from New Zealand I know of. Went to university with a couple of them, and Caleb Markini, he's been here for a few years, so I spitball him with a few questions just before signing, just to get a feel for it. And then other than that, I've just been on the phone liaising with Greg. So yeah, plenty of new faces over there, which I'll get to know more when I get there.
Now, as a scrum half, you are very much a facilitator and getting the ball into the hands of the playmakers around you. Describe your style of play and what you expect from the game.
Yeah. So yeah, being a 9, a scrum half, it's all about kind of 9s have the control of the game. You're in the first 5s or the you fly half. So you're the link between the forwards and the backs. You're the voice of the team. A lot of direction, and I don't mind having a snipe when the opportunities come up. But all about high tempo rugby for me. And using my voice to communicate really. So just drive the ship, as you would say. So yeah, that's kind of where my strengths lie, I feel. But you'll be able to get a gauge for that yourself during the season.
Sounds like everything we're looking for here with the Utah Warriors. We like to play sideline to sideline. The boys love to throw the ball around. Playmakers all over the field. So we're in for a really good one, having somebody with the quality of yourself come into the team, and we really look forward to it, Logan. Thanks for your time, mate.
Yeah, cheers, Jared. Thanks for having me on, man.
He's a guy that can play some real minutes, Banksy, and I'm excited for him and for you, because any Kiwi that the Warriors sign, you get especially excited about, given that you live.
It's a little piece of home coming to see me here in Utah, and really all it is like it gives me an excuse to go out and eat more meat pies. So I'll take that excuse. All right. If you're ready to see Logan and any of our other Utah Warriors signees and the players that you already love on the roster, it's time to get your season tickets for the 2024 season of Major League Rugby. Call now, book your seats for the best home field advantage in all of Major League Rugby. 801-477-7652. Pick out your seat and be there for the best action in sports in Harriman with Utah Warriors Rugby. Call 801-477-7652 and get your season tickets now.
Dude, I had a meat pie for the first time, I want to say in 2022 at a Warriors game, and it was awesome. I never had it. It was delicious.
I mean, I fully believe that when God gave Moses manna from heaven, there was a little bit of meat in the middle of it.
They wish there was meat in there, man. Yeah, they wish. Yeah, that'll do it for us. Like and share this episode of Dub Nation. Follow the Utah Warriors on social media. Our thanks to Logan Crowley for joining the program, producer Mason Banksy and Banksy. I am Jarom. Go Warriors.